Hi everybody, I'm Jeff with Virginia Paranormal Investigations, and today we're down here in Williamsburg, Virginia to investigate a private residence. Now Linda's going to give you a little bit about the details of the hauntings that have been going on here.
So there's been a lot of reports in this house. It's not a very old house. It was built back in the 2000s, but it's seems to have started occurring when the mother or the wife went to her mother's house to actually clean out her old house. And she had brought some things back, nothing really that seems very significant at first, but it seems like that's when the activity had started. Now, they did go to a couple of these public investigations with different paranormal groups. One of them, I believe, at Enview, and walked around out there. And so the activity sort of started with that. But it seemed to escalate when they brought their daughter to live here in the house. And she's a foster child right now. She's been experiencing some strange things in the house, as well as the rest of the family members, experiencing some odd things. Voices, they hear their own voices talking to each other at night when they're asleep. There's been movement in the house. The dogs, they have 4 large dogs in the house. All of the dogs have started acting a little bit strange. There's, just various things like that that have occurred throughout the house. And then odd things that they've been getting on the video cameras as well. So we're going to see if we can do quite a few different things here tonight. In different locations, both outside and inside, because the activity doesn't seem to be isolated just to the inside of the home.
So at this home in Williamsburg, Virginia, we are near Jamestown, and just 5 miles south of Jamestown is us. Back when the colonists were starting to expand from Jamestown and starting to gain more wealth, they founded Green Spring Plantation. And on that plantation, they started to get more and more people. And when you have that happen, you have to have a bar. And back then, they called bars ordinaries. The closest ordinary that outlined that plantation was Spencer's Ordinary, which is right up the road from here. Now, back in the late 1700s, during the Revolutionary War, there was a couple battles that took place near Spencer's Ordinary, where Lafayette and George Washington were there, as well as Lord Cornwallis, as they were sending them down to Yorktown. So there's a lot of death in the area, possibly with a lot of British as well as American troops. And after that battle and going into the 20th century, all the farmland eventually got bought up and they started to make little subdivisions in the area. So where we're standing now once used to be sprawling farmlands with a lot of battles and death. So it's possible that there could be spirits of any natives that could have been in the area, any colonists, and anyone from the Revolutionary War and possibly even the Civil War in the area.
This camera from the surveillance system of the homeowner here, and we're going to see what looks like a possible apparition walking down the hallway. So that's very interesting.
You notice you'll look right in here, you can see this shadow. Watch that shadow as something passes in front of it. There's a taller figure, and then shortly after a smaller figure.
That's interesting. I mean, it's a pretty good video,
Yeah.
And I think later on we'll have to go through and recreate that.
We've already tried to debunk it. I asked the homeowners if they had any lights outside. They do, however, there's nothing like a tree that would block the light. Like if there's any shadows or anything like that. There's nothing like that. Also, in that direction, there's absolutely no roads, no cars.
Nothing.
The people that live there are so far away that if they even shine a light in this general direction, it wouldn't cast a shadow like that.
Too many trees.
And then up front, again, there's no road. There's no light coming in, so there's no way that anything like that would make a shadow like that. So as me, us, as we look at these videos all the time, we're like, oh, it's probably this and this. But we're here now, we're able to look at everything and say confidently, I don't know what made that.
Right. So we have our surveillance camera set up at the moment, and the first camera that we have is in the upstairs on the second floor, pointing down the hallway. The second camera that we have set up over here is pointing into the utility room at this door that leads out into the garage. The third camera we have is pointing into the little girl's bedroom. That's her bedroom upstairs. And the fourth camera that we have here is in the master bedroom, showing the doorway that leads out of that master bedroom, and also showing this mirror.
So we're about to do a baseline sweep of the house. What I have in my hand right here is a tri-field meter. What this does is it reads the electromagnetic energy in the air around us. If you go up near a fridge, it'll go up pretty considerably. But as you're wandering around the house, it may go up to a 1.0, if that. This hand right here, we have a carbon monoxide alarm. What this does is it detects carbon monoxide in the air. If it does go off, that's when we kind of look at the possibility that carbon monoxide is what is causing people to see spirits or see apparitions, or, you know, anything that's not really there.
I have a temperature gauge in my hand, so we're going to measure the temperature fluctuation in the house, if any. And this is going to measure the gas for the natural gas reading. If it goes to red, that means there might be some natural gas leakage in the house. Otherwise, if it stays green, that tells us everything is okay. So it went from 81 to 76, but I think that's because the air conditioner's on.
It's right here.
In this area?
Yeah.
Yeah, it dropped from 81 to 76 real quick.
Lunch.
Right in here.
Yeah. So it
Now
goes
it's just
from,
dropped to 70.
did it
Yep.
go right in here?
And I got chills.
It picks up considerably, right? But you would think
Yeah,
it's
that goes
this,
up to 10.
You would think it's this stuff right here, right?
Right.
But bringing it in closer.
You wanna
Okay,
turn the
now it is
ceiling
going back
fan
up.
off?
But still not up to 10.
No,
Oh,
when
I'm
you're
going
near
down to
it.
58,
Might come back
guys.
here.
Well, this is, hold on, this is humidity. This is not temperature.
It
The
goes up to
temperature
10.
is 79, so
What does that feel?
it's the
Maybe
humidity.
down towards the ground.
No.
The humidity dropped is what was dropping, not the temperature.
Could it be the fan?
I'm thinking it's the fan.
Not towards the ceiling either. No, that's all right.
I mean, you might want to try turning the fan off to see if it is the fan, if you automatically drop.
Yeah, it's like right here. Just suddenly this
It's-
one spot.
It could be kind of like a culmination of things, because if you've got a couple of things around that all have the same, that are giving off a lot of EMFs, sometimes I guess the waves, the way the waves are projected into the atmosphere, they can collide at one certain point, and at that certain point where they collide, it gives you a higher level reading. So it could be a combination maybe between the big speaker on the shelf in front of you, you know, like the TV, the fan, you know what I'm saying? It might just be kind of that
You've
one
got the
point
surround
where
sound,
they come
you've
around.
got the
You've got the router and stuff. I would say
Everything's
probably
like
the
right
router and the
there.
modem because they're on. Maybe that would give you.
oh, there you
And
go.
I was like, of course, if I get close to it, it goes
Oh
way
yeah,
up,
that's like
yeah.
you know.
40.
But I back away. And then it picks back up again right here. It's very heavy this way, and then it slowly drops, and then you bring it to this spot, and it jumps back up as if I'm right next to the modem.
In the master bedroom, and this thing shut off. Then I came back out, went back in, and it went back on.
You didn't have to flip the switch at all?
That didn't touch it.
We'll have to note that. I wonder if something interfered with it.
I have no idea. And the temperature thing went down to like 47, or the humidity in there, but it was a closet. But I hadn't touched this, and it just completely shut off. And then it came back on when I went out and went back in. It's a nice room. Humidity's 52%, 53.
So we walked around the house doing a basic baseline, And as we walked around, we walked into the living room, and over in that general area, it spiked in an abnormal area that I wouldn't expect it to. I expected to spike near the modem.
She'll come out on her own.
But when you come back from the modem, it dies down, and then near the center of the living room, it spikes back up again as if you were next to the modem. After that, the rest of the house seemed to be pretty normal as far as the EMF readings go. We went upstairs, checked the little girl's room, went to the bed, went to the areas that we think that there may be activity. It was all normal. Now, the next thing I do want to point out is the client mentioned that he had an old phone back in 2019 that he deactivated, got a new phone, and he activated it for a second just so that way his daughter was able to look at the phone and be able to contact people through Facebook Messenger through Wi-Fi. So this phone is deactivated. It can only use Wi-Fi. You can't call it, text it, or anything. So on June 23rd at 6:30 p.m., he received 2 phone calls. Now, the fact that this number called is very interesting because this phone number is the phone number for John Deere. Now, they were probably calling because he has a new tractor from John Deere. They were calling about payments and this and that. However, he happened to get that tractor from a man that had just passed away. And so the idea or the thinking behind it is that as soon as that phone was turned on and activated, that person was trying to communicate with him, hey, I need you to take care of this tractor. But, like I said before, there's no way anyone should have been able to call that phone. It's not hooked up. That phone doesn't have the ability to be hooked up to the Wi-Fi to receive a regular phone call. Instead, the only way you can call that phone is through Facebook Messenger or anything else like that. You can't text it, you can't call it. However, somehow that number was able to call that phone.
So I took pictures from every angle as we do in every investigation, and on first glance I didn't really see anything. We're going to have to take the pictures and probably put them on the computer and look at them in a little bit of a larger view before we can actually determine if there's anything in them. Specifically because we're using a fairly small camera, you can see the display on the back is somewhat small, so we don't get a real good idea of what could be in the pictures off of this.
So we were wondering about the gas meter because during the baseline sweep it had cut off on Tanya and then again at the end of the sweep. What we realized is it's nothing paranormal. It's actually a faulty switch on the gas meter. If you look at it, it goes out. The switch has to be just in the right position for that green light to stay on, because if it's moved slightly or bumped the wrong way, it will go off. I swear it was just doing it and now it stopped. Okay, but it's definitely, it's like a loose.
Not doing it now?
No, it's not doing it now.
Of course not when you want it to.
No, but it was.
Yeah,
I do believe
see
it's the
what you
switch.
mean.
See, like right now it's on, but there's no lights. I got to tap the switch, and there it's on.
Okay,
So I think it's a little bit of a faulty
yeah.
switch. Yeah, I don't think it's anything paranormal.
So the homeowner was just telling us a story about how one night he came out to grab his wife's phone and went back inside, to go grab it for her. When he came out here, he heard a growl right over here in this area. It was a low guttural growl. And he went to the back, checked to see if anyone was there. He grabbed his flashlight, came out, and saw nothing. Just now, not even a minute after he tells us that story, we hear that growl, Jeff and I. And so we come over here to see what it was, and the dog comes to the back and is barking in the woods. The horses are going crazy, and there's some barking over here in this section, right after we hear that growl. But Jeff, you heard it, right?
I did. I thought it was the horses
Yeah.
grunting, is what I thought initially.
Because when we heard it, we saw the horses moving.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I gave her a small dose of venom.
But that was loud.
It swelled up pretty darn fast.
So we're downstairs in the master bedroom, and this is where the mother sleeps, and she's often seen something strange, and the daughter has seen something strange as well in the mirror. They see a man that has a red shirt on, and we're not exactly sure who that is, but he's been seen kind of over toward the doorway as well as in the mirror. So we're going to set up to do an EVP session here. We also have the REM pod in the center of the bed here. And we have to keep in mind that whenever you key one of these radios, whenever you push the button on the side to actually speak, it makes the REM pod go off. So if Jeff calls in, we may be able to pick up him keying his radio out there on the porch, as well as me pushing mine. So my name is Linda.
I'm Tanya.
And I'm Will.
And we're here just to communicate with you, just to talk to you. We want to find out who you are and maybe why you're here. We have this cylinder on the bed, this black one with a bright red light on the top of it. And if you go close to that, it will start making noise. See, I'll show you. See, and the closer you get to this antenna, the more the lights are going to go off and the more sound it's going to make. So can you try doing that for us, just to let us know you're here?
That is a dog that is in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, with all the noise that's going on in the house, we're going to go ahead and do a spirit box session in the master bedroom. Right now, Linda has on headphones. With those headphones, she is not able to hear any of the questions that we're asking because it is so loud. So, my name is Will.
I'm Tanya.
And that is Linda with the headphones. What I would like to know is, are you here with us? So I want to know, are we talking to a man? Are we talking to a woman? I've heard that someone has been seen in this mirror over here. Do you know who that was? Do you know who appears in that mirror? Can you show yourself? Can you manifest in this mirror right now? Show up in that door in the corner. We're going to be here tonight for a while, so I just want to let you know, you may follow us only in this house, and when we ask questions, we invite you to answer. We want to know who you are and what you want. So we did our first EVP session in the master bedroom. We started off with strictly just an EVP session. However, with a few of the noises in the house, we decided to go ahead and do a spirit box session. So as we're doing the spirit box session, the light went off a few times, but nothing intelligently. It was not after a response or anything like that. In fact, I asked the spirits if it's a male, female, child, nothing at all. I didn't really feel anything in the room. However, something of note that Jeff doesn't know yet is that I did invite whatever it is to follow us in each and every room in the house, only strictly in the house, and that we're here to talk to it, find out what it is, what it wants, and what we can do to help. Linda didn't hear anything on the spirit box. We heard a couple of radio chatter, but that was about it. At no point did we hear Jeff come through on the radio. He attempted to contact us, and we didn't hear it at all. However, I will say, towards the end of the spirit box session, the REM pod, the temperature sensor started going off. However, there was no temperature change in the room. It was exactly the same.
One question for you. Sure. The REM pod, was it going off all throughout or just at the beginning of the spirit box?
Just at the beginning as the temperature was settling and everything else. But it did go off one other time as soon as I started recording again with the spirit box session. It went off once and then stopped after that.
During the spirit box? Because I was wondering, I tried to radio you guys during the beginning of the spirit box session. Mm-hmm. Could that have been what set it off?
Possibly, because it was a split second that it went off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to, because that was only at the beginning of the spirit box that I radioed you.
Yep.
So if it went off after that, it wasn't the radio.
Okay. No, it didn't go off after that.
So what we're going to do now is go up into the daughter's bedroom. As I was sitting here monitoring the cameras, as soon as the team went into the master bedroom, her attitude kind of changed a little bit. And the mother's had a heavy feeling about them going upstairs. So we're going to go up into her bedroom. I think this would be a good time to see if there's anything up there. And I'm wondering if the team going into the master bedroom is related to the change. So let's go up there and see what we can find.
Sounds like the dog's coming.
Okay, I'm Jeff.
Linda?
And I'm Will.
And we'd like to know if there's anybody else here with us. We don't mean to trespass or intrude by any means, but we've heard that there has been somebody up here that Nadia has talked to, and we'd like to know who that is. Could you come near that red light for us, just to let us know that you're here?
So earlier we were downstairs in the master bedroom. I asked you if you knew who was in the mirror, or if you are the person in the mirror, to come out and join us. So we invite you to come up into this room now to talk to us. The reason why we're here is because we want to know who you are and what you want. So who are you? Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you a child? Or are you something else?
Could you tell us why the mother downstairs, the woman downstairs, she said she has a very heavy feeling, doesn't feel that it's a good time for her daughter and husband to come up into this room? If they have a reason to be afraid, or if she has a reason to have this feeling, could you try coming near that device for us, please? Now, tell you, if you have good intentions, which we hope you do, and you would like to give them peace of mind, could you come near that device if they have nothing to worry about by coming into this room right now? Come and light that light up for us, please.
So, can you tell us where you came from? Why are you here?
We watched a video very recently where the dog came upstairs to check on Nadia. Was it you? Or someone or something that you know called out the dog's name?
Will and Linda were just talking about how this bedroom, it doesn't feel particularly creepy when you're up here with a couple of people. But when you're up here by yourself, it seems slightly more so. We've noticed when there's less people in a room or in an area, the activity seems to increase a little bit. So what happened right now was Will graciously volunteered to come up here and lay in this beautiful mermaid bed with the REM pod on the floor and a camera on him. He's going to do a solo EVP session. We're going to go down and we'll have the radios going, or we'll have the radios on us in case there's anything that kicks off. We need to rush in here to the rescue, or he tells us otherwise, hey, you better get in the car and leave. Either way, we'll be prepared thanks to these handheld radios.
My name is Will, and I am here to find out who you are and what you want. I know that you've been talking to Nadia. Now I want you to talk to me. There's two ways that you can talk to me. Number one, you come near that red light that's on the ground and touch it, it will turn green. The second way you can talk to me is this right here on the table and that right there on that table. If you talk into it, I can hear you. So if you're here, if anything is in this room with me, let me know. Show me. I invite anyone or anything in this house to come in this room right now and talk to me. I want to see you. Did you follow Nadia from her old house to this one? I'm going to close my eyes. And when I open them, I want you to show up in this room. I'm going to close my eyes on the count of 3. And then I'm going to open my eyes 3 seconds after that. I want to see you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you want me to stay, touch that red light, make it turn green. I am leaving now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these voice recorders up here. You can talk into them, say anything you want. We're going to ask you a few questions through the radio. So I just got done doing the solo EVP session in the upstairs bedroom. Didn't get any responses at all on the REM pod. Matter of fact, it never went off once. Didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. At one point I asked for something to appear in front of me, it never happened. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do our famous, I should say, radio EVP session. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave a radio in the room by itself with our 2 voice recorders. We're going to monitor the video camera from our base station, and we're going to ask a few questions across the radio. Theory is that maybe this thing is shy and it'll only communicate with us when no one else is in the room. Maybe it'll make some noises or it'll respond to our questions, but either way, it might entice it to come out and show itself.
A shout out to our friend Mark for this idea for the remote EVP session. So here we go. Okay, if there's anybody up there, I'm Jeff.
Stop!
See anything by the back?
And we'd like to know if there's anybody in there that can hear us. Could you please tell us your name?
Stops.
Could you tell us why you are in that room? Is there a particular object in this house that you're attached to or that you're drawn to? That was an insect going across there.
Right.
How many of you are in this room right now? Is it okay for her to come up and sleep in that room right now?
So just a moment ago when the dog started barking inside the house, there was nobody inside the house at the time. But she went and checked on the dogs, and they were kind of focused on that utility room area and just barking randomly at this area over there. Evidently, there was nothing that was shown on the video, or else Tanya probably would have said something, but for some reason, they saw something or sensed something out there and were alarmed by it.
It wouldn't have been, I don't know if they would have even heard it, but is this room over the laundry room?
What room?
The room where we're asking the questions to? Could they have heard the radio through the floor?
Yeah, I guess it is possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because it seemed to happen as soon as I started
Did it
asking
as
that
soon as you
first
started?
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A few times in some of our investigations where we've had the homeowner or the client sit in with us and either tell a story or ask a question. Whatever tends to be here usually responds well to that. Quite often, we do get either an EVP, a sound, or some sort of activity. Tonight seems to be kind of slow. We haven't heard anything, seen anything yet. The REM pod hasn't really been going off. So this is something that we can try to see if we get any sort of response.
So, let's go ahead and start the recorder.
Okay, it's started.
All right. And what we're going to do, of course, is, like I said, just kind of talk about what's been going on. See if it kind of
Stimulates
it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, feel free to ask any questions yourself as well. Oh, that's the kitty.
That's the
That's
cat.
the kitty.
All right.
Do you want to go out?
Yeah, I'm out of
Oh,
here.
yeah, there you go.
I thought we were already having something, but with the kitty. All right. So, what happens in the laundry room? Or in this area?
Not so much right here, but I'm here a lot because I'm constantly doing laundry. And I see things out of the corner of my eye all the time. And you guys were asking questions outside earlier, and one of the questions you asked were, how many people are here? And I clearly heard somebody say 4. Are there 4 people here?
If there are, could you light that light up to green? It won't hurt you if you could just light that light that's red. Could you turn it green?
We do have fireworks still going off outside.
We noticed the dogs barking in here earlier. Were they just barking at my voice upstairs? Or was there something else that they were barking at?
Yeah, that little light with the little beep that you just heard, it usually indicates temperature change.
Guys, we're here, we're listening. This is your opportunity to tell us why you're here and what you want. Touch that thing. Turn it green.
Did you just come in close to the antenna there, to the light? It's going to turn it green. It's not going to harm you. Oh, black cat came in.
Hi, baby.
The cat's not close enough to set it off. Yeah, that cat was not close enough to set it off.
No, because if we stand where the cat was,
Mm-hmm.
like even if I'm standing right
you
here,
have to get right up on
I'm not setting it off here.
Mm-hmm.
So that cat was not setting it off.
So if you're in the room with us, could you turn that light to green again? Did you just come in with the cat? That was me hitting the wall. Could you turn that light green again? That's a dog growling at the door.
It was surprisingly quiet inside the utility room. Wasn't a whole lot going on. Sounded pretty quiet. The REM pod, it started to kind of flicker. The little temperature gauge on it started to flicker, and that went off once or twice. But it could have been that we had just taken the REM pod into the room and set it down. So it could have been acclimating to the environmental temperatures. But the one interesting thing was that when one of the cats that came through the cat door from the garage through the door into the utility room with us, the REM pod went off. And the cat wasn't close enough to the REM pod to make it go off. It just seemed somehow to react to the cat being there. And as soon as the cat walked off, it didn't happen again. So otherwise, it was kind of strange that happened when the cat came through. Could have been a coincidence, I suppose, but like I say, sort of odd.
So while the team was in the laundry room doing their EVP session, I noticed on this camera number 4 in the master bedroom right here, it began shaking up and down, and it did that shortly after they went in there. And so I'm wondering if it was from closing the door or some sort of movement in there that made it happen like that. But otherwise, I don't have an explanation. So I just want to test the theory to see if there's something that you guys did when you went in there.
Wait, it's shaking up and down?
Yeah,
The only thing
as
that
if
would cause,
the bed was shaking.
yeah, the only thing that would cause that camera to shake up and down is if something was moving the bed because it's propped up on top of the headboard. If the headboard moves like this, it would cause it to do this motion right here.
Okay.
So-
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try recreating it. I'll walk in. I'll close the laundry room door and sit up on the washer because that's what we did.
Okay.
And then you sit out here and see if that does anything.
Sure.
Okay.
Jeff is heading in.
They're all in the kitchen.
And they were at the door growling, so we know they were by the laundry room
Yeah,
door.
A couple times they growled. And then Tegan came in through the cat door and apparently brought something with her.
Yeah, that's the only time the REM pod lit up was when that cat came through the cat door.
Most of the black cats are bad.
It's midnight. I love the fireworks.
That's interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes it shake.
don't mess it up, Jeff.
The only thing it's doing is rocking back and forth. Is that what it was doing though?
Yeah, it did that. Could have been a dog underneath the bed.
It could be a dog up against the
None of
bed.
our dogs can fit under the bed.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
there.
they would have, I guess, maybe laying up against the side of it, but
Now that's a possibility.
But they weren't there.
I know.
Did you see the dog come in the room?
There was a dog in the room. At one point, it was walking in and out,
That's the.
but it didn't seem like it came from the bed.
so right now I'm eating a chocolate chip cookie. You have to, sustain the nutrients for the evening. But I think what we're going to do is Tanya and I are going to go inside and we're going to take a digital voice recorder and just do an EVP session downstairs. The family is trying to settle down a little bit and go to sleep, so maybe something a little bit quiet will allow them to do that. And at the same time, give us an opportunity to see if anything will communicate with just Tanya and I, since it'll be 2 females inside the room and no males in there. You never know when the presence of a male or the presence of a female may affect something. So, good chance to go in and test this. So we're standing in the area where they saw some sort of an apparition walk through. It was coming from this kitchen area here, walked around the corner, and into the master bedroom. And so we would really kind of like to see if we can communicate with something. And we have our REM pod here. We have 2 digital voice recorders on the floor as well. And you can see our wire with all the tape on it going to a camera out there. So if anybody is here with us, can you please make that red light turn to green? If you go near that device, it'll light up. Can you go near that?
Can you light that up if you're a boy? Could you make that light turn green? If you're a girl, could you make that light turn green? Thank you. If you are between 1 years old and 5 years old, could you make that light turn green? If you are trying to get a message to someone here, can you turn that light green?
So Tanya and I went in and we were doing an EVP session. We decided to do it right there, right between the kitchen and the doorway to the master bedroom, right in that area where they had caught a video on their surveillance system of something passing through there. And we set the REM pod on the floor. We turned on the digital voice recorders. We were trying our best to urge something to communicate with us. Unless it came through as a voice, as an EVP, we didn't hear a whole lot. There was at one point, again, where the REM pod went off, and it was when Tanya had asked if it was a girl, and it just lit up that one time very quickly and then stopped, and we didn't hear anything else except for the temperature light. The light on the that indicates a temperature change on the REM pod started flickering and started making that beeping noise. So I'm not sure whether something is just not sure exactly how to use the REM pod, but wants to use it to communicate, or whether this is just a very temperature-oriented spirit that seems to like to manipulate the temperature a lot. It's hard to tell, but one way or the other, it seems like everywhere we go, we just get this one little beep off of the REM pod, and that's it.
What we're going to do now is wander around the outside here a little bit, where he said he heard the growling over here. We heard some noises coming from the horses while we were sitting out here, so we know the horses are out. We're going to go over there, and we're going to see if we can find anything that sounds like growling, see if we can get anything to communicate with us.
It's a big spider.
A big what?
What about back towards the corner here? Oh, there's a camera right there.
Yeah. Okay. I do have the digital voice recorder on.
Okay, got the REM pod here.
Okay.
Okay,
Are you done now?
and it stopped. It didn't.
What is that?
I don't know.
Humidity? We've been
No,
using
it's
it
already
inside.
already been outside for a while.
That's true. But it wasn't on outside. Does that make a difference?
Maybe. But humidity changes have never gone for that long.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's see. I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
And I'm Will.
If there is somebody else here with us, and you are using that device, you are touching it, causing it to light up, Could you stop lighting it up? Stay away from it for 10 seconds. Okay.
I've never seen it do that. I mean, just constantly. Are we pissing something off?
I don't know. If you're a...
That is really strange. We'd like to use that thing to ask questions. But if it's constantly going off and turning green, we can't ask the questions and communicate using that.
Okay, if you don't want to answer any questions, if you want us to stop asking questions, can you just leave that thing alone? Leave it alone. Don't touch it.
What would be causing that?
Yeah, it's working.
It is.
What was that?
She said, "Did you hear that?"
What'd you hear?
Something over here on this side.
Huh?
What did you guys hear?
Cat.
Just the cat.
But why did it stop when Will walked away from it?
It still stopped.
It is.
Okay? If you're still here, can you light that up to green? Can you come near that REM pod again? That red light. Just for confirmation, if you're still here, but you'd like us to stop asking questions, light that up to green.
It's talking. It just left.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so what changed between the time this was going off and now?
The cat made a noise that attracted their attention, and he walked away. Will walked away.
What?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I'm gonna ask some questions, and I need you to light that up in response to the questions.
That's the first one for us. That's a new one.
I mean, it stopped for a while.
It
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing on it.
Nope.
Okay, so let's see what we can get here. It's like as soon as I start talking,
I know. Is there spider web on it? Is there any chance of anything like that? I don't think a spider web would do it anyways, but just to rule out any
no,
possibility.
because it would be going off now if there was. If it was something that was consistently on it, it would
Yeah.
consistently be going off. Because like when you touch it, it keeps going off.
It
you know?
does.
It keeps going off until you take your hand away from it. See? Until I pull my hand away.
And there's no bugs hitting it either.
Mm-mm.
Okay, let's try this. try moving it.
Okay.
Switch these two.
Possibility of something being electrically charged, or
Plastic bottom though. It doesn't usually. We can usually set that thing on something like a washer or
I know.
anything, and
That's
it doesn't
weird.
usually. The electromagnetic fields don't usually set it off.
I wouldn't think so. But it's now sitting on a rubber tire, and rubber is a very good insulator of electricity.
Now it's not going on.
Now it's not going off.
But plastic is a good insulator too, is it not?
Not as good as rubber.
Yes, not. Can you touch that for us? If you were, we want to know if that was actually you. It was actually somebody touching this device or not. Can you come near that for us, please, and let us know that it was you? I'll tell you what, if you do this for us, if you come near this, touch it and let us know that you're here, we'll ask you 2 questions. We'll ask you if you want us to leave, and we'll ask you if you want us to stay. And all you got to do is answer one of those questions, and perhaps we'll do it. Can't make any promises. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. First question. If you want us to stay here, can you make that turn green again? If you want us to leave here, could you make that turn green again? If you frankly don't care, can you make that turn green again?
What the hell?
That's how much they don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is really odd. As far as evidence is concerned, this was kind of an interesting investigation. We got a little mix of everything. We got some EVPs, we got some spirits box responses, and we've got some cases where the REM pod went off in response to questions that we were asking. Now, a couple of these EVPs were so quiet that I could really only hear them with the headphones. We couldn't hear them when we were trying to play it just straight through the speakers on the computer. So I had to eliminate 1 or 2 of them. But there is one here that you can just barely hear, so I'm going to include that one. The first thing that we've got in the investigation was when one of the men, the guy who actually owned the house, was asking questions upstairs. And he had been asking, are you here because of his daughter? Are you here because of Debbie, which is his wife? Or are you here because of me? You'll hear that last question, were you here because of me? And then the answer comes just a short time later.
Are you here because of me?
So you can hear this, what sounds like a child's voice, come in at the very end there and say, Debbie. His wife supposedly had some gifts, and he always suspected that maybe the spirits that were there because of her. So I guess that's his response right there. They're there because of Debbie. Now, another interesting spirit box response comes through, and this is kind of a strange one because you hear a spirit box voice come through, and you hear it say, what is your name? And it sounds like he has a little bit of an accent the way he's speaking. Then the client comes in and asks a question, and then a short time after that you get a response again through the spirit box, but it's a response to the first question.
Are you here because of Nadia?
So right at the very beginning you hear this, what is your name? And then the client asks the question, and short time after that, you hear again a child's voice that comes through that says, John. So it almost sounds like one of the spirits was asking, what is your name? But asking it to another spirit that was inside the house. And this child spirit answers John. So again, with the child spirits here, kind of an interesting clip. A next one that we have here is a time when Tanya and I were inside the house alone, and we were asking questions, trying to identify who it was that was in the house with us. And this one is fairly self-explanatory, so I'll let you listen.
If you're a girl, could you make that light turn green? Thank you.
So what you didn't hear was right before that we had asked, are you a boy? And the REM pod did not light up at all at that point. Then we ask, are you a girl? Because we always try to ask these confirming questions. And we were going to go back through it again and again if we got the right responses. This time it did light up after she asked, are you a girl? Now this is kind of contrary to the voices that we're hearing, because it sounds like the voices that we're hearing of children seem to be boys' voices. But, you know, again, one of those locations where you never know how many spirits are actually there. So the next one that we have is another that is more like an EVP here, but it's kind of hard to hear. So you're going to have to listen very closely, and you may not even be able to completely discern what it says, but with the headphones on, it's actually quite clear. Maybe you can try telling us your name. So the first voice that you hear is mine. Perhaps you can try telling us your name. And then a short time later, right before the clip ends, you can hear this little quiet voice, very kind of high-pitched voice, say, Sparky. Now, Sparky is kind of an odd name, of course. I have known a couple of people whose nicknames were Sparky. So it kind of begs the question, is Sparky the nickname of one of these other children that we'd heard previous? Perhaps John? We really don't know. But the place seems like it's sort of full of children's spirits for some reason. So overall, an interesting investigation. Some very strange things that happened, particularly out by in the side yard when we were out there trying to get a response on the REM pod, and the thing was just lighting up constantly. We still have really no explanation for that. There were other pieces of evidence, like I said, that were somewhat hard to discern. So unfortunately, we weren't able to pull those out, but kind of a cool situation, and definitely a cool place. And you know, we're hoping that sometime in the future, perhaps we can go back on a different time or a different day of the week and see if perhaps the spirits are more willing to talk.